I'm now joined by Danielle from Motat. Danielle, welcome.
Thanks, Nikki. Thanks for having me in.
Absolute pleasure. Now let's talk about Motat as a venue for weddings or an event. Who would have thought?
I know, it's an absolutely amazing venue and it's really versatile.
So first of all, Motat, the museum.
Yeah, we're the Museum of Transport and Technology. We're based in Western Springs in Auckland, and it's an absolutely lovely precinct. We're based across 2 sites, and in between us we have the Western Springs Park and the zoo.
And I think most people would never consider it for a venue, certainly for an event, and definitely not for a wedding. And yet it is fantastic.
It is, and I think, you know, if you look back at the 50 years of history that Motat has, over that time there were a lot of weddings that were held, and it's something that has tapered off. And in recent years we're looking to go and start this up again and offering that unique environment for both weddings as well as major functions over at our aviation display hall.
Now you've got several sites within the precinct where people can actually hold a wedding or event, don't you?
Yes, we do. So it can be from something which is really small and intimate. We have a beautiful chapel that's actually on site that people can go in and use. We have lots of different Victorian village areas, as well as we have lawns across from our heritage cottage, and then we also have our aviation display hall, which can do the really large numbers, up to 400 for seated or 800 for a standing cocktail party.
Now that's a substantial number.
It is, and I think it's just a matter of doing something, no matter what you're looking for, whether it be something quite small to the really large functions, we can cover it all.
That's brilliant. Now I love the idea of the little chapel for ceremonies. That sounds really cute. And I love the idea that guests could even then hop on the tram and move to different areas.
Absolutely. So the chapel itself is within our Victorian village, and it is a prime example of what a Victorian era chapel is like. It was actually built in 1898 and it moved onto the Motat site in 1974, so just 10 years after we opened. Motat is home to over 20 different trams which have been restored and they operate, and they range from the traditional Auckland trams from early 1900s through to we have a beautiful double-decker tram which came up from Wellington.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, and so we can actually transport our guests within that main site in the village, or else we can take them from one site on a lovely tram ride and have a glass of champagne on the way while they go over to the aviation display hall.
That is so cool.
It is. It's something unique.
Yeah, and in that historical little village area as well, there's that beautiful lawn, so people could have canapes and drinks on that lawn area as well.
Absolutely. So if, for instance, your wedding is a little bit larger than what our chapel can hold, you can actually have a ceremony out on that lawn, as well as you can have Raj tents come through and actually put up a beautiful bespoke Moroccan tent and have your wedding ceremony and reception there.
Fantastic. And also I like the idea in that lawn area, if you wanted to do something after your ceremony, you could have lawn games, and you could go quite historic with some of the things you wanted to do.
There was some really lovely little Victorian games, so playing quoits or anything else like that. We also have an option of having our penny farthing rider come and ride through if you want to go really vintage. And actually celebrate that heritage. So he looks really unique, he gets all dressed up in costume, and it just really sets the scene.
That is so cool, that's lovely.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about the big, is it the aviation hall?
Yes, the aviation display hall. It opened in 2011 and it's won a huge number of architectural awards. It's an absolutely beautiful building, and inside it's home to over 35 historic aircraft. And so it's the only it's the only venue of this kind in New Zealand with that amount of aircraft within it, as well as it's got some very significant aircraft in there. It's got New Zealand's only Lancaster bomber, and for those history buffs out there, it's got the only Solent flying boat that's left in the world.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so if you've got people who are really interested in history or aviation, this is definitely the venue for it. And also it can be themed to fit a huge number of different themes. So it transforms from a museum into an amazing, fully themed event space.
Fantastic. And as you mentioned, you can get some great volume in forms of guest numbers in there.
Absolutely. It's a very, very versatile space. So say you have, for instance, a smaller party and you want to only have 80 guests, we can actually move and group those planes further inwards to create a more intimate dining venue for you. Or if you have a really large party that's coming in, we can actually go and move some of the aircraft out onto the periphery and have it so we can fit in up to 800 people. So
that is absolutely brilliant.
It is, and it's because it's so versatile that it is such a great option for so many different people.
Now, when somebody looks at Motat as a venue, they're not just getting the space, but you actually do have all the other facilities like catering and all the support structure that goes with that?
We do. We have an on-site events manager who will actually work with the client, who goes and helps them go and decide what they'd like, how they'd like to have their tables set out, and works across all of the other vendors we work with. We have 3 preferred caterers who work with Motat, and those caterers know our site intimately, and so it just means that it's completely stress-free. And then we have other preferred suppliers who we can also go and recommend and work closely with to make sure that the event runs really smoothly.
That's fantastic, and it's so important, especially for a bride. She wants she wants to know that everything is going to be stress-free and seamless. She doesn't want the hassle of wondering if things are going to go wrong.
Absolutely, and I think, you know, having that event manager who's actually part of the Motat team, who knows the site, who is a professional, and who also works across all of those suppliers, they know what the site is capable of, and they know how to go and make the smallest things possible for a bride.
Danielle, I imagine that Motat must have the most amazing photo ops for brides and grooms.
We absolutely do, and whether it is actually having photos taken within the Motat grounds in the village, or if they want to go all out and have photos taken with some of our trams or trains or cars, we have the lot, and so we can actually go and include that as part of a wedding package if someone's actually having their wedding there, or we can do it separately and you can pay a wedding photography site fee and have full range and someone to help facilitate all your requests for your photography. And it's just, if you're having a vintage style wedding, what more could you ask?
Oh, I can just imagine.
Yeah.
And I believe you have Waitakere Station there?
Yeah, so this was the original train station from out at Waitakere Station, and we can actually go and have either photos taken there as a backdrop, which looks really unique, it's very old-timey style, or else you can have a function set up on the deck outside of the station area.
How cool is that? It's
Yeah,
amazing.
It's amazing.
What are some of the cool themes that you've had take place there?
So we have a lot of great themes which have been put in place in our aviation display hall. You can have anything from the Great Gatsby through to Pan Am. That space just lends itself to those kind of themes so well, and it's just you don't need to do a lot because the aircraft are already there. It's already almost in theme. It's just adding in little bit of costume for your hosts and perhaps your band as well, so having a band who actually fits in. We've also had it done in a military style mess environment, so actually having, you know, long group tables, and we could fit 650 seated dining in that kind of environment, and everyone got dressed up and it's just the most amazing time. People go all out and just really experience it.
I can just imagine. People love dressing up for a party anyway.
Absolutely.
Brilliant. Danielle, how does a couple get hold of you? Because I think that this is just such a unique and different kind of space that it's very, very exciting.
Oh, well, that's great to hear. If anyone wants to find out more information about weddings or events at Motat, they just need to go out to our website and have a look. All of the information is there, as well as contact forms for getting in touch with our event managers.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much for coming in and having a chat with me today.
Thank you for having me.
I've been talking to Danielle from Motat.